Let me just preface this video by saying I have no handyman skills. I'm terrible with tools. Anyone who knows me or has been following my videos knows that I am not Mr. Fix-It. But there's some basics I can do, and maybe it won't look pretty. Who cares how it looks under the sewer system? Hey everyone, maybe you saw a video back at the beginning of this year where I took my Ember out to the mud flats. I ended up getting into a rut, getting it stuck. And in the process of doing that, I broke off the end of my sewer pipe, the end of my outlet where you hook up the tube on my Ember. Now, I've recorded other videos of my RV off-road, going through some gullies, and I've definitely seen it come close. But finally, I was a little reckless, I guess, with that particular shelf that I took the RV off of, and as a result, it broke off the end. Now, it broke off the end just past where the two pipes come together, so they still were a little connected, the gray pipe and the black pipe, where they come together at like a little Y. But I had to figure out a solution. I thought about just taking it into Woody's and having them do a full factory reset on it. But I thought if I knocked it off once, I'm going to knock it off again. So for now, let me try to fix it myself. I can always have it done professionally in the future if my fix doesn't work. But I wanted to experiment with trying to set something up that would be higher up than the end result of the Y pipe and sort of is replaceable or breakaway. Now, of course, remember that upstream from these outlets are the plungers that keep the valves shut. So if the end caps get broken off, no sewage comes out. But nonetheless, I thought I'd try to make something that was either short or if it did get hit, it would break away. And this is what I came up with. The first decision I decided to do was to separate the two. So I was going to put two different outlets and two different caps on both the gray and the black. It's not super convenient, I admit, but it was also a low-cost solution that would be effective and keep it tucked up high. So first, let's take a look at the gray, where I took this reducer. I got it from Amazon. So I got this tank reducer, which takes it from a 3-inch spigot to a 1.5-inch spigot. And that way I could put the 1.5-inch spigot on the front, but I could actually just stick a regular old sewer tube on the other end. What comes out of the gray is generally low pressure with no solids, so I really wasn't too worried about having this reducer in there. And it was the easiest part of the solution. The only thing that was different is I had to cut back the pipe a few times till I got to the right spot where I knew I had enough clearance to get two sewer tubes in, because now I have two sewer outlets. But let me get to all that. With the gray tube, I just took this reducer part and then I combined it with a 3-inch bayonet style connector that you would have on the end of the RV. The other thing I used, of course, was some ABS glue, which makes sure you're using the right glue for the right product. In this case, it's the black ABS tubing that we're dealing with here. So I just glued it up, attached it on, make sure to hold it for a good 30 seconds so that it doesn't slide back off. And that's been working great so far. But the black was a little bit more of a challenge. Where it had broken off in the black, the width was a little wider than your average 3-inch pipe or your average connector. So my original idea was I was going to maybe, after trying to measure that up and figure out what's going to fit on and around that, I ended up coming up with this solution. It's not pretty, but it works. But no, seriously though, I don't care about how it looks as long as it's functional and it doesn't look too weird or duct tapey. So because it was extra wide, I tried to find a 4-inch to 3-inch reducer to see if the 4-inch would fit over that whole broken piece. But in fact, the 4-inch was far too big. So when I did that, it was real jiggly, and so I ended up just returning that piece to Home Depot. Then I found this 3-inch by 3-inch rubber flexible coupling. There'll be links for all of these in the description on Amazon. It's amazon.ca, but I'm sure you can find these on the US site as well. This rubber coupler was oversized on one end. This allowed me to take the rubber coupler and get it over the broken piece. Once I cleaned up the edge there and took off a few sharp edges, it squeezed on there real well. I tightened it down really well. And then I just took a very small piece of ABS plastic pipe that I just cut off of a piece that I bought and put it inside there, and then connected the bayonet coupler to that. So yeah, on the inside of there, there's probably some little 1/4 inch ledges where, you know, matter could get hung up. But generally things are coming out at this point pretty quick. And at the end of every one of my dumps, I put 5 gallons down the toilet with a big oversized bottle, and that generally flushes everything out. So I'm really not too worried. Now, I have tested both of these products and they are holding tight. There's not a drip coming out. The black area is the part that's going to catch first. That is the lowest part. But now it's connected to this rubber coupler with a screw-on clamp. So God forbid I come across some crazy rock or do something stupid again where I actually make contact. The worst case scenario should be that this rubber piece pulls off. Now that I've done this and taken it to the dump a few times, it works just fine for me. I'm going to go ahead and buy a replacement of each of these parts, put it together, and just leave it in my kit in my trailer. It's fairly lightweight, and that way if I ever do have a sewer incident along on a trip, I've got these replacement parts. And in fact, it's such a quick replacement, so maybe you're not like me, and in case of an accident, you want to get the full factory fix if you want to get this put back to factory condition for the sewer. If you decide to do that, that's totally understandable. I probably would do it too if I wasn't trying to save money right now. But this kit will get you through your trip. The reality is all you need is the coupler for the black. That's the part that you want to be hands-free and you want to be able to disconnect your hose. If I had to, that gray comes out so slow and is so mellow, I could just hold the black tank over the gray and empty it if I was in a jam on a trip. So I'm not so worried about the gray. What I'm really worried about is the black. And so I'll have a spare one of these couplers now assembled and ready to go in my kit. So if I ever do make contact while I'm off-road, I have the ability to just slap a new one on there and go dump at the next convenient legal dumping station. Now finally, is it inconvenient to have 2 outlets? Yes, I now have to right now, when I go to the dump the black and then move the tube over to the gray to dump the gray. That is slightly inconvenient. I do have 2 tubes in case I have to be at a 20-foot sort of long location where I'm parking. So my plan is I picked up an additional Y coupler, just like a Rhino Flex little Y coupler, threw that into the kit. So if I'm gonna be in an RV park for like a week or something like that, which doesn't happen that often, I'd likely just attach this Rhino Flex to my elbow, and then I would attach the 2 tubes to my sewer and just let the 2 tubes hang there for the duration of my trip. Otherwise, what I'll be doing most likely is just dumping the black like I usually do. And once I've dumped the black and flushed it out with 5 gallons of clean water, I'll just move it over to the gray and do the gray. It hasn't been that inconvenient, and it does save me a lot of money. And it also gives me a little bit of peace of mind that if I do bottom out, it's not going to be a real expensive fix for me to grab the rubber replacement and stick it on there. So for now, this is my solution. It isn't pretty. I don't make pretty solutions. I buy them from the dealership. When I do them, they usually aren't that pretty. But this is effective, and I do think that at the very least, a takeaway from this for all Ember owners, get that 3-inch by 3-inch rubber coupler, build your little replacement cap, and then just leave it in your kit for future use, and you'll be worry-free if you're on an off-road trip and you end up making contact with that sewer, where it's going to likely break off. You'll be able to just stick this coupler back on, or you can saw it off a little bit until it's flat and then stick the coupler on. I hope this helped. And who knows, maybe one day I'll get tired of this and I'll finally go take it to the dealership, have them do it right, and put a nice little Y valve in there so I don't have to deal with 2 tubes anymore. Thanks, everyone.